just win. You can do it too. Now let me hear you sing. I'm going up to the top of the arcade. Gonna be a superstar. A superstar. Gonna do it with a bang like electro. Gonna be a superstar. A superstar. always play your part. Before it's over, I'll capture your heart. My wings are humming, honey, stay a little while. With just a pinch, you'll be delighted and beguiled. I'm not your baby doll, but I can make you smile. No nectar sweeter, sweetie, I'll drive you wild. My heart is pure as lace and lace with purest pride. My frills are wildflowers begging for your eyes. My lips are poison and waiting to collide. Come play with me, darling, you'll be surprised. This world is a weary place, humdrum, dreary hive. In all its monotony, I'm buried alive. That's why I wanna outshine the stars in the sky. I wanna see my name painted in light. To win your love, I will do just anything. Oh, there's always something more. Yes, there's always something more. I'll be the face you see on magazines. Sell out my concerts and thralling the streets. I'll be your idol, your only one. But it's somehow not enough. It can never be enough. Look at me, look, I'll take your breath away. You'll pay the price if you deny me. My throne is here at the Archaean. Cross me and that's your head. Oh, gods again, I really should have said, give me love forever just because. I'll be your queen bee, honey, be lovely, love. Be your one and only champion. I'll be your full-time royal, worship me lovely again. Until the end, I'll be your queen bee, honey, be lovely, love. Be a
over. Now I'm on the block, got me up to orange. Gotta rhyme something with orange. Said nothing rhymes with orange. Thinking I'll just work without orange. Suck it up, push it off, pick it up. Here we go, get back to that drawing board. Drop it off, scrub it off, take it down. Gotta go, get back to that drawing board. Pull it off, scrub it off, hurry now. Gotta go, not a lot left to go. Don't let them take it too slow. Gotta go, hey, why aren't you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. She'll push you to the count of 4. Then 5, 6, 7. She'll keep on counting up to 7. 8, not 10, not 87. Take it right back down to 7. Wait, ha, no time on a dime, and she's drawing a line. Girls, what is she made of? Sugar and spicing, huh? None of them taste love. She's everything nice. I'm gonna tell you her name. What? I'm gonna tell you her name. What? I'm Sugar Ryan. Ryan, yeah. We love roses, colorful with pretty poison. All you'll taste is, can you guess what? We love roses. Caught you snooping, art is dripping, running and running around. You're running and running around until we're down. We all fall down. We all fall down. We all fall down. Ashes to ashes to ashes to ashes. Ashes to ashes to ashes to ashes. On the wall, the writing's on the wall, yo. She's off the wall, yo. This kid is off the wall, yo. Paint a picture, rip it up into a picture. Strange, straight from fiction. And this is what we start with. Paint, you can't win this war. You'll take these lessons lightly. Put down those sticks and swords. The pen is far more mighty. All the other workers on machines draw a blank to me. Now it's time to roll the die. Suck it up, push it off, pick it up. Here we go, get back to that drawing board. Drop it off, scrub it off, take it down. Gotta go, get back to that drawing board. Pull it off, scrub it off, hurry now. Gotta go, not a lot left to go. Don't let them take it too slow. Gotta go, hey, why aren't you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. She'll push you to the count of 4. Then 4, 3, 2, 1. She'll count back down again just for fun. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. She left out 6 plus 5 together. Then wait, now, no, run. No time on a dime, and she threw her own ride. Girls, what are we made of? Yeah, sugar and spicing. You know what they're made of. Not everything nice. And if you're asking her name, what? I'm gonna tell you her name. What? I'm Sugar Ryan. Ryan. Pick the pieces up. Bring up roses, colorful with pretty poison. All you'll taste is, can you guess what? Bring up roses. Conscious snooping, art is dripping, running and running around. Yo, running and running around till we're down. We all fall down. Round and round and round. We all fall down. Round and round and round. We all fall down. Round and round and ashes to ashes to ashes. Ashes to ashes to dust.
Here on my throne sits a pretender, holding the hurt that I leave behind. They're on my own, though I won't surrender. Life won't play fair, why should I? Don't resist and turn the page. Those fireballs and hates that rage, crucified from those eyes. Casket set us free, flying avalanche, guillotine, cobra clutch, hole put to sleep, and body drop, giant swing, showing the boss the fire in me, cord catapult, shatter machine, suicide dive right out of the ring. You can't bring me down. From Kingdom Dark, he will now awaken. Our failures past, not here to be used. Although my past has been taken, now what have I left to lose? Antichrist abomination, nothing will be too taboo. Cast aside, time to ruin my name, justify my need to rage. Rip the flesh, feed the flame, turn the tables as you spit on my name. Pipe down, shut the fuck up, I don't think he's sane. I've tried all my life to pay for this cycle, we were sacrificed. I can't go to my past, tonight is the night. Put all this behind us, why not go and fight? I'm not afraid of dying. Tonight is the night, a blood moon is rising. What's mine left to die? But I'm alright, yeah, the fight is tonight. The light that defines us, not planning to hide. I'm not afraid of dying. In my thirst for
Good morning and welcome to LoreLines. And what the fuck are you mean? Why does yours work and no one else's does?
Yumi's the chosen one.
He is the chosen one. The Fujis haven't, or like the little avatars have not worked for weeks, and suddenly Ayumi's is just there. Hello, everyone. How are you? Welcome to LoreLines episode 143. There's a lot of little things to talk about. We have patch 7.25 coming up on Tuesday. Very excited about that because we are getting the Occult Crescent. And before that, before stream, we were having a conversation about Final Fantasy VII and the hero that Rufus Shinra is, because Meowth is not too familiar with 7. And,
Hold up!
everyone should know.
I just logged back in, and I'm visible, but no one else is.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why are you?
That's why
I'm
we
the
were
most
saying
important
that you're
member of the
chosen
cast.
one. Yeah.
Clearly, you are the chosen one.
The most important member.
AC says, any difference between lore lines versus lore circles?
We haven't really determined the difference between that and lore squares yet, but we're working on it.
I'm a fan of lore triangles myself.
Trapezoids for me.
I like
Yeah,
the lines though.
Now I'm curious. I thought this was just, I thought it was broken for Prism, and I obviously have not made the switch to OBS yet. Meanwhile, Yumi's just here, just working, being okay.
Yep.
And everyone else is just busted.
the
And
most
now I'm
fun-
like, okay, what's going on here?
The most functional.
The only functional one.
As expected.
Clearly. Now yeah. So what have you been up to this week? I'm sorry, that threw me off.
Oh god, what have I been up to? Work and more Clear Obscure. Expedition 33. I've beaten the game and starting my new Game Plus run, so.
Nice. I just got to Act 3, and I'm really excited to play New Game Plus.
Yeah, enjoying that twist.
Which one? There's several that have been crazy.
The
Don't
end of
give me
Act
too
2.
much
We're not going to
spoilers.
talk about it, but did
Nope.
you enjoy the end of Act 2?
Yes, and I watch it repeatedly on YouTube. It's so
Good.
good. I will say I've had some friends ask me about the game because they've heard good things about it and they're asking my opinion about it. And you know what I've been telling them? It's the best Final Fantasy game that I've played, single player Final Fantasy game that I've played since 10.
That's fair. That's fair.
I feel like that's the Final Fantasy game we would have gotten had Final Fantasy stuck with its turn-based format.
That is Bravely Default, basically.
I just appreciate it for what it is. It's a turn-based game. It's a sort of love letter to all of the RPGs that came before.
Yeah. Speaking
Right,
of,
yeah.
there are quite a lot of Easter eggs in that game, especially for Final Fantasy XIV. I don't know if you noticed some of those.
No,
I
no,
noticed
but I
more
haven't
from other
played.
games. More from other games rather than 14. Especially like the double dyad reference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's Persona references everywhere, especially in the interface, but
Yeah.
in-
Well, the creator himself said that the UI was specifically referenced from that because he thought that the UI from Persona 5 was the best designed UI for any RPG he's ever played because of how
Oh.
stylish and creative it was.
absolutely,
He's not wrong.
100%.
Every single menu screen is different.
And AC says, speaking of shapes, you guys excited? We're getting triangles in a few days, as well as Mamul Jaw stuff.
Heck
Yes, 100%, and we are going to be talking about that. Very excited for all of that coming up.
Yes.
I'm just trying to
I'm
figure
just
out.
excited for the continuation of the Nimian and the Amdapor and the Maki stuff. Like,
And potentially more.
and potentially more. Like,
Mhm.
what happened after then? Because we kind of abruptly stopped after Dunscaith, right?
Mm.
Yep.
After the Void Arc stuff.
Mm.
So we're just like, okay, all's well that ends well with that. I mean, isn't there, something else that happened with the Nimians?
I just need more Fifth Era stuff. Like, there's
Right.
so much meat there.
The interesting thing to me in that regard, and I'm going to start rumbling, am I?
Do it.
All right, we're prepared.
The interesting thing for me, however, is that as far as we are told, and which our source is when it comes to lore, so press X to doubt in many aspects about it, because the version
I'm already
we have,
pressing.
the version we have of it is that the flood came after the word of Magi. Magi.
Magi.
I don't know.
Magi, yes.
Magi. Okay.
Which is from
And,
6, which you still need to play.
Yes, you do.
It's actually I know that it's from 6, but it's been referenced in other Final Fantasy titles after 6.
But it came from 6.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that's so I do have to.
You're making excuses not to play it. Just
Yeah.
play it.
Just play it.
want to finish the project, then I can do the other things I've been not doing for 6 months. That's I think.
Well, if
I'm
you've
the
not been
first
doing them
one-
for 6 months, it'll be easy to start.
But
Continue.
the thing is that our version of the events is that Nunkref had a mystical vision, revelation, call it whatever you want, of the flood happening. So he decided that he was chosen and came down to try and save the people from the flood. He teleports the ship. It doesn't even get the ship to sail. Just teleports the ship to top of Mount Yorn in Gervania. And then gets down and sees that the people, after losing everything and trying to, after something like the flood happening. They were having conflicts and all that. And Newcraft decides, these people are not worth my time. Takes a few other people that agree with him and decide to sail into the sunset and into Charlene. So that's the account we have. That Newcraft didn't want to bother himself with solving more problems than just bringing a big ass ship. Saying it like, but the existence of the occult crescent and all these structures, architectures from the warring nations of the War of the Magi, to me it contradicts that account, in the sense of, we're told that the War of the Magi happened because the magic nations, city-states of
Gonna pull up
Eorzea...
the Encyclopedia Eorzea's for this.
Well, it's Charlene propaganda. Okay.
Written by Square Enix, so, you know,
Charlene propaganda.
it's only said by you, so...
Me? And we all as a team have been saying that Charlene propaganda for like 5 years.
It's true.
But anyways, my point was my point. There's a Yumi already sending me.
Yep,
off track.
there will be resistance between me and Meow. Always is.
Oh, of course.
The point is that we're given the account that there was a conflict between the mages, but there's no mention at all that potentially these mages actually found a reason to, live together and form their own colony or whatever in the...
Yeah, it's very murky around that area.
The occult crescent, potentially. And it's interesting to me because the whole point of Tuliyollal and Tural and Gulol Jaja is that he didn't unite the people like... it's so different from the Eorzean Alliance, because the Eorzean Alliance is built upon, hey, we are only joining together because we have a common enemy. And this sort of alliances are very shaky, because the moment you don't have the enemy is gone, it's no more. Then what is your argument to continuing the alliance? Either you dissolve the alliance, or you will try to find the enemy in the slightest place to justify your continuation. So that what Gulol Jaja did is very different. He built the alliance of Tuliyollal, which is so much solid and, if you ask me, more genuine, because he acknowledged the difference of the whole people, but he found threads that connected them instead of separated them. And the point is that each culture of Tuliyollal keeps their own essence, while at the same time blending together. That's the magic to me that represents Tuliyollal as a much better thing than the Eorzean Alliance. But though that's a bit of a it's a bit of a low bar, if you ask me. But the point is shade. I couldn't help it. The point here is that I find interesting in the sense that this is a theme that is going on in Dawntrail, finding things that connect us rather than divide us. So that's why I think that what we're going to find in the Occult Crescent is the, until now, not known version of story in which at the Amdapori, the Maki and the Nimians actually set aside the difference to create a whole community of magic that so far either has been hidden or they hid it. That's my take based on themes, basically.
So I have here the 3 descriptions of of all 3 raids. So we can read that on stream if you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
Cobb, is that okay, or did you want to say something?
No, that's totally fine.
Okay, so here's the Void Arc. Here's what the Void Arc passages. When the Void Mages of Mach determined that the sixth Umbral Calamity would take the form of a great deluge, they resolved to move the seat of their nation to a floating island to avoid destruction. So it was that the forbidding vessel known as the Void Ark was constructed. Unlike modern airships, which employ ceruleum engines, the Void Ark was powered by countless imprisoned Void Scent. The Shadow Queen Skathic, foremost among them. Alas, not even High Void Mage Cessair could keep the mighty being contained, and she and her kind broke free and began wreaking havoc across the vessel. In desperation, Cessair and the 53 Void Mages under her command, sacrificed themselves to seal the fiends within magic coffins. Only the High Void Mage's familiar, Katesith, survived, and he was charged with keeping watch over the dangerous cargo. All was quiet for eras until the seal in the city of Amdapor binding Diabolos was broken during the 7th Umbral Calamity. Thanks, Wall. Stealing the silent ship, the Void Scent began opening the sealed coffins, plunging the Void Ark into the chaos yet again. It bears mentioning that the Ark was capable of traveling between dimensions by using a powerful burst of ether to briefly open a void gate. This allowed it to move instantaneously throughout the source by slipping in and out of the void.
I'm going to fight you on the Katesith catchy pronunciation. I don't care if they officially say it in the 7 remake. It's wrong.
Okay. Okay. How do you think they say it?
Catchy.
Okay. So here's the Weeping City of Mach. Tucked amidst the sprawling Yafame saltmoor of the western coast of Aldenard, the nation of Mach once thrived. During the 5th Astral Era, its people rose to power by virtue of the mastery of black magic, and although the floods of the 6th Umbral Calamity have since transformed the area into fetid marshlands, immense ruins have endured as a reminder of the civilization's former greatness, or badness. Into the depths of these ruins, along a tributary of the White Maiden, rises a colossal pyramid most notable for harboring the occult device known as the Nullstone, used by Maki mages to ensure the obedience to their fell covenants. The severing of a Void Scent's essence from its vessel by the powerful artifact would result in the entity's complete obliteration. It was therefore a great threat to the Void Scent Queen Skathic, and a race to claim it that led to a ferocious clash among her servants.
I do want to add, when that city was founded, it was not in a swamp. It didn't become a swamp until after the 5th Umbral Calamity.
Right. It did not.
Carry on.
Dunscaith. The Forsaken Sanctuary. A floating city created by the Maki mages to serve as a refuge from the deluge of the 6th Umbral Calamity. Dunscaith made optimal use of limited space with soaring structures. It was never settled by its intended residents, however, for the Void Ark failed to reach its destination. Claimed instead as a lair for Skathic and her minions upon their escape from the vessel, it was altered by the Void Scent to suit their dark sensibilities while they bided their time for a full-fledged invasion of the land below. Seeking to protect the skies, the Red Bills forged an alliance with other pirating crews, the Talons not least of all. Together with their adventurer allies, they set forth aboard the grand airship Lady Radilla for the hellscape that Dunscaith had become, and fought their way through the hordes of Voidsent before vanquishing the Shadow Queen herself. In the moment of Skathic's defeat, Diabolos emerged from the shadows to claim her scattering essence. Not even in this empowered form could he overcome the dauntless adventurers who struck him down like they did his kindred. So those are the 3 descriptions of the 3 raids, according to EE3.
AC says, I wonder about that, how the Nullstone is able to obliterate Void Scent when in most cases they can't die and get sent back to the Void.
That's not even mentioning that going back to the raids, and if you look at what the Nullstone looks like,
Yep.
it's very similar to Electrope, and that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. And we know that
I
Electrope
mean,
is not
because
unique to Alexandria.
yeah, apparently because of the Vanadil raids, it's found, as far as Sarilja mentioned, it's found in like the rift or
Yeah.
in the boundaries between dimensions, and it makes me think that Electrope should not appear in the, let's call it the physical realm, should not appear
Ooh.
there,
Do
because
you?
if we
Yeah.
go, because if we go by, this is going to be a bit abstract, but um, in the alchemical roots of Hermeticism, there's a substance called the prima materia. This is supposed to be like the substance from which everything in creation, which in 14 is represented by the elemental will. The prima materia is the primordial substance from which all of creation is made. Uh, it's like the building blocks of creation, and it's often represented as a black cube, uh, and sometimes represented with lightning. And it's interesting with drawing with the alchemical parallels and Hermeticism, which is everywhere in Dontrell, with Electrope. And of course, Electrope is the name the Alexandrians gave it, but that doesn't mean it's its real name. But what I believe is, I have two theories that may be wrong as for why Electrope appeared in Alexandria or appears in other places. If it is something that should be in the Rift or in the Walk of Echoes or whatever it is, like imagine like this sort of material that creates the foundations and records of all of history, even after a universe is, let's say, destroyed and a new one comes. If we go by, for example, the theory that Vanadil is the universe that came before the one in which Atheris is a thing, right?
Oh, that's a
Imagine
terrifying thought,
when
actually. Okay.
uh, and uh, uh, and the Electrope is like the building blocks of, or even data or USBs if you want, that microchips that keep that information and and allow other people to go into there and revisit the records of the past, in a sense, like
Right.
a chronicle. It's not different like the Unending Journey, in a sense, or New Game Plus if you want. So imagine if this is a substance that has to be like secluded there in, let's say, a rift or the boundaries between dimensions. But with the Sundering, these boundaries between dimensions went utterly to hell, and the shards happened. Cosmic law was overturned, quite literally. Remember that the elemental wheel in our reality is upside down. That means creation is upside down, metaphysically. This is to me, honestly, this is the most important lesson of Shadowbringers that is so glossed over by so many people, that our reality is upside down. And the thing to me is, does Electrope, or whatever its name is, appear in one places in which there is planar fissures because of the overlapping between dimensions, and Electrope like seeps through it? And second, places where reality or the timeline are overlapping, leaving Electrope, seeping from this continuum in reality. I don't know if it's the best way to explain it, or if I'm not doing, I don't know. This is the first thing that's like in my head when I think of the fact that it was revealed in Vanadil that it's found in the Walk of Echoes. And I'm like, could it be because reality
So
or
it
realities are
describes
overlapping?
Go ahead and continue. I'll finish after this.
No, I mean I brought this up because we were mentioning about the void and because it's the 13th and it's a different dimension.
I just found
and
something about the
all that.
null stone. So it's the Maki mages created the null stone in response to them summoning more and more void scent from the void. And the void scent were devious and would often disobey and kill those who entered a pact with them and feed on their ether.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah, I wonder. So, to counteract it, they created what they call an arcane device known as the Null Stone. And the Null Stone was capable of breaking the pact through magic and destroying the physical being a void scent had possessed. So this would allow them to banish any void scent. So in essence, that it didn't quite destroy them completely; it would banish them. To banish any void scent who would seek to do them harm, while also allowing them control over the beings, using them for war. So banish them from the vessel, and at the same time put them under their control.
I mean,
That's what the Null Stone did.
To Diabolos, to me, it feels like it actually fried him, but I suppose that in that sense, Diabolos actually managed to escape the unlife of the 13th that way.
Yeah.
Well, remember, it says banish, right? So he was banished, right? Banished, and then ended up in the Allegan Harrier. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, technically, we were supposed to have done the raids before Bosnia, of course. Not everyone has done the raids, but if there's a concept chronologically.
Chronologically, if you did them in order, then the Void Arc stuff would tie into Bosnia in a familiar sense, in that we destroyed Diabolos at the end of Dunscaith, and then he got banished and ended up floating around Eorzea and ended up into the Allegan Harrier.
And because the Harrier was supposed, I imagine, the Harrier was supposed to harbor.
Yes, it was built to harbor. It was built to harbor and control Void Scent, just as Allegan's built it to be.
All right. Yeah, it
Working
was.
as
It is
intended.
precisely. It is precisely the Harrier and the field notes, the Bosnian field notes, which are very important. I would recommend everyone to read through
They're
them.
very important. They're very good.
Because it's in the Bosnia field notes about the Harrier when
Yes, let me look those up.
When they first explained that there has to be an equivalence between the soul density or the soul power and the physical vessel. So it basically in the context of Bosnia, it's used to explain that you couldn't summon a powerful void scent into a weak vessel to possess because it would crumble apart. It just cannot sustain itself. But this is used as basis for the fact that and later, relatively recently, Yoshi P in a Q&A, it was in the Korean FanFest, I think, when he was asked about the whole thing about Primal Zodiac and what would have happened if the Asians had completed the rejoinings, and he said basically they would have had to perform a full reset on everything because the sun, even if they managed to rejoin the souls, the bodies are not made to hold them, so they would have had to perform a whole reset for humanity to be the way it was. And this is crucial because it means ancient and Sunder souls cannot be reborn in our world. They can't. So, yeah.
Yeah. So that means all the souls that we dumped back into the live stream are just
They're trapped
screwed.
there.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to get around the issue of an unsundered soul and a sundered body.
Okay, here we go. Go ahead. I found that field note for it.
Oh, okay. Because that was something that I thought would have made a really good plot line in the future is, how do you deal with that? You have a bunch of kids basically that are born, and they start dying because they still have creation magic, and they don't have the ethereal density to be able to do that, so they burn up all of their aether and just die.
Yeah.
Which I would have loved that storyline, but you're absolutely right. That's not something that's really feasible given the mechanics of how soul stuff works.
Mm-hmm. And that basically means that this whole thing about, oh, they will meet our friends in the future as reborn, and it's like, no, that's not exactly what's going to happen. It cannot happen,
Right.
especially for someone like Hades, who was already the 1 in a million chance in his own world because of the soul density and his uniqueness. Like in the first short story in Japanese, it directly addresses him as basically the underworld's most beloved child, which in 14 context is basically like saying Aetherius' dearest child, and we
Yeah. I
and we martyred.
I would also argue that Hythlodaeus would fit into that as well, because he was also extremely gifted.
Yes, but only on sight. The
Correct.
difference is that soul sight is not. I mean, it's rare.
Yeah.
But it's not that rare. The thing that makes Hades unique is the connection he has with the underworld and the addressed nigh bottomless wellspring of ether within his soul, which makes it extremely dense. So he was already that 1 in a million chance in his own world. Even if there was a 1 in a million chance in our standard reality that one unsundered soul could be reborn because there's like genetics or whatever, it would be the 1 in a million chance for one unsundered kid. But in our reality, someone like Hades already is definitely bared from rebirth. So it's so the whole thing by the end of Pandemonium, when Themis sees the light and people are like, you see the families being like, oh, he's going to be reincarnated, and I'm like, no, he's not. Themis is cooked. Themis is utterly cooked in that cutscene.
Oh my god. And yeah, so that means that Emmet, Selk, and Hythlodaeus included, and La Habrea, and all the souls that we put back that are unsundered, they're not coming back ever. We have essentially removed them from the cycle.
I mean, in practice, yes, we know that this
based
is not
on
going to
based
hold.
on this. Based on this.
Yeah.
I'm sure
exactly.
that at some point, if they wanted to, they could find a workaround to it. But
Oh yeah, of course.
like, hey, we constructed this super ethereally dense body. All it needs is a soul.
No, I don't think it's going to be like that. But
So
one day, if you let me ramble, I will ramble, but not today.
I would say that naturally occurring isn't feasible, but we have seen instances, of course, of possession. They can inhabit sundered bodies and the clones of sundered bodies, so that's not so much an issue. But I think it's the long term inhabitation of that would cause the body to eventually degrade and fail.
Well,
But
it's
that
so
would take
different.
more than a lifetime.
I want to
But-
go back to the Allegan
Yeah.
Diablo armament again.
I was just
I'll
going
go
to
ahead.
mention quickly that the Asians tended to change bodies relatively regularly, and it could be not just because they fancy, but because they may have actually been. I mean, not for the sundered Asians, but for the unsundered, it actually may have been putting a strain on them, like keeping a body for a long time.
Oh, it absolutely
So-
did. We know it did.
I mean, yeah, but I mean physically speaking, not just mentally.
Right.
But anyways, go on, Ayumi.
Man, you just love to go off. Anyways. Alright, so this is the Diablo armament description from the field notes. Icons were perhaps one of the greatest threats to the Allegan Empire, and the Allegans devoted a great deal of their resources to two primary means of combating them. The first were war machina akin to the Ultima weapon, designed to feed on the very life force the Icons they were built to destroy. The second were biological weapons resembling the recently unearthed Diablo armament, designed to harness the power of the entities from the Void. The Allegans had long believed the Voidsent could make for powerful thralls, however, there were two key obstacles in their weaponization. Firstly, there was the matter of preparing a suitable host. The strength of the Voidsent one may summon is largely dictated by the vessel it will occupy. The entity that might inhabit the corpse of a coral, for instance, would be several orders of magnitude weaker than one inhabiting the corpse of a behemoth. Secondly, and perhaps more importantly, was the unpredictable nature of the Voidsent and their need to feast on ether. A binding spell could be cast at the time of their summoning to subjugate them, but the efficacy of these incantations dropped significantly when employed against the higher echelons of Voidsent. In short, the Allegans required immeasurably powerful hosts and an equally potent means of binding these creatures to their will. Neither could be obtained through natural means, so, as one might expect, the Allegans turned to science for solutions. In the end, they chose to genetically augmented components to create what they believed to be the perfect host, paired with their strengths used to imprison Mericidian dragons. The weapon discovered in Zadnor was all likelihood an interim vessel for Diablos, a demonic Voidsent believed to occupy the second rung of the Void hierarchy. It would not be easily summoned, much less bound, so researchers speculate that it could not have been encountered until after Emperor Zande formed the pact which opened a gateway to the world of darkness. Moreover, it is quite possible that ancient Alegs intended to unleash this chimerical monstrosity upon the fledgling nation of Bosnia to test its capabilities. Though we but glimpsed its power, it appears that the Allegans succeeded in creating a formidable addition to their arsenal, perhaps even comparable to the Ultima weapon. It remains to be seen if more such weapons lie buried beneath the plateaus of Zadnor. There you go. It's not Charlene propaganda. It's not. It's
No, it's just
in-game
the
notes.
notes.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah, there's
that
a
pretty
lot in
much
there,
links
yeah.
it. That pretty much links the Void Arc. That passage there pretty much links Void Arc to Bosnia. He was expelled and he made his way to the Diablo armament. Although the ways of summoning him were very difficult.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it makes sense. It shouldn't be easy.
Right. No,
Especially
it
not
shouldn't
this-
be easy. I like the final passage where it says that there may be more hidden beneath Zadnor, and makes me wonder just how far Alleg moved into Zadnor in order to bury these weapons, and why they buried them.
It's a bit weird, to be honest. Because there's always Alleg and Alleg, but we do know that Bosnia resisted Alleg's
Yes.
invasion.
And there is
So
a
it's a
possibility
bit
of a
weird.
defector because they received Allegan trigger weapons, or they had in their possession.
They saved the queen.
Yeah, they had Save the Queen, which is an Allegan trigger weapon. So they're during the not Eureka storyline, but the what's it called? It's not Eureka. It's the other one. It's the newest one.
Eureka Orthos?
Orthos. It is Eureka Orthos, yes.
Mhm.
Okay. But yeah, spoilers for the finals cutscene, but they speculate that there was possibly a defector in the Allegan ranks who gifted the Queen of Bosnia the trigger weapons in order to resist the spread and conquest of the Allegan Empire into their territory. And Excalibur was possibly one of them,
Interesting.
as well as Save the Queen.
Yeah, it's mentioned in the Bosnian field notes. It's really worth. Yeah, I mean they're annoying to collect all of them, but if you have a compilation, I know there's compilations of all of them in other
Garlon's
websites,
Tools has the full compilation. You
then
can
go
look up.
and read them, because they have great lore in not just into these sort of things about Orsight, bits about Ultima as well.
I'll link it.
The whole thing
Oh,
about
Final Fantasy
the
Collect. Never mind. The Final Fantasy
and
Collect.
but also has lots of great insight into the Garlean Empire as well, because we tend to get sources of information from about Garlemald and things from people who oppose Garlemald. So
Yeah. All right, there you go. There is the entire set of records that you can collect and look at.
right,
Excellent.
right, excellent.
But don't look at them now. Look at them later.
I mean, you can. You can. But yeah, if you haven't collected them all but would still like to look at them, just go to that site.
So about the Crescent, I've been doing a bit of research, because I mean, obviously, I cross-reference with other Final Fantasy titles and stuff, right?
Right.
So I mean, the most evident one right now, because of themes, we're tying with Shadowbringers. The Crescent is mostly, I mean, Shadowbringers. I mean, its world building is Line Returns Final Fantasy 13, but plot-wise it's closer to Final Fantasy 5, as far as Cobb was told me like ages ago.
Yeah.
So since Dawntrail is feeding a lot from, basically feeding all of it from Shadowbringers, people are thinking that the Occult Crescent is referring to the Crescent Isle, I think, in Final Fantasy V. I don't know much about that plot point. I have to research a bit more.
I have dabbled in 5. I have not gotten too deep into 5, so I don't know.
I do know a bit. I mean, my most familiar. I mean, it's not the first Crescent thing in Final Fantasy. I mean, people are connecting it with 5 right now. But the first Crescent Lake, Crescent Town, Crescent whatever, was Final Fantasy 1, and it is the village where the Circle of 12 sages made the prophecy about the Warriors of Light. That would that would end the cycle of the Archfiends and Chaos and all that.
There's also a Crescent
so-
Island in 6.
Yes, that one is the most interesting to me, because I don't know that much about it, but I've read that it was a island where different civilizations or mages came together and founded a joint community named Thamasa.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's where
So-
Stragos and Realm are from.
Right. So that seems to me that it may be referring Final Fantasy V, but we're actually going to find more Final Fantasy VI in Occult Crescent, especially if we're going to find that the truth is that the War of the Magi was not so black and white as we've been told, but
That's a great
rather.
pun. So I would love that.
For Andapur and Mac, yes, but where do the Nemeans fit in the black and white? Are they
Right.
the gray?
Well, I mean, we also know that there were more
They're
than
green.
just,
What are you talking about?
we know that there were more than just the 3 big civilizations as well. There were quite a few major civilizations that were swept up into this. We know of 4.
Scala.
Scala being the 4th, yeah.
I want to know.
But I
about Scala.
want information on some of the other civilizations. I like to call it the Asians basically playing Civilization. Like Emmett Selk said, okay, everybody go found a civilization, and then we'll make them fight. We'll see who comes out on top, and then we'll drown them all.
I don't think it's actually I don't think this is the result of the Asians,
Damn it,
to be
playing
honest.
Civ
But
6.
I don't think this is exactly what the whole blame lies on the whole blame lies on the Asians.
No, absolutely not.
like there's a really uh, vile narrative underlying the whole thing that pretty much blames everything wrong the Sunded do on the Asians, and that's like evading responsibility a lot. It's like no, everything bad that happens because the Asians didn't like. You're using the Asians as your shield for denying your own sins.
So there is a meme that's pretty widely used of a guy riding a bicycle holding a stick, and he sticks the stick into the bicycle, and then he's blaming something else as he's laying on the ground holding his leg. And basically what the Asians do is they just give them the stick. Like, they don't do anything. They're the ones that stick the stick into the bicycle, but the Asians give them the stick.
But it's a fair trial. It's a fair trial, to be honest, because it's like testing. It's like testing the people for how much they can resist temptation. In the sense of, you're given power. What are you doing? What are you going to do with that power? And you can, when you're given power, you have two options. Well, actually, you have three options. You can either use the power for your own benefit. You can either use the power to help others, and you can not use the power at all.
Right.
But usually what happens is that the moment you're given power, we see it happen every time. They're going, like, everyone finds this power and tries to use it to rise above others and betray, kill, deceive, murder, which is exactly what you shouldn't do with power. So even though I think there's more nuances to this whole thing, and that the Asians really face a really complicated situation and a lot of slandering, I do believe that they also carry out, like Gojin, the corruption of the people. And sometimes if something is too corrupted by these things, but these vices, and it becomes destructive, then I would see that as a reasoning, in a sense, to be like, okay, this has to go. Because in the end, what they're trying to do is to restore the values and principles of Amarut, which, Amarut made the world as Sundered was not perfect in the sense of being flawless, but it was definitely better than what we have. I sound like I'm doing campaign for the Asian effort, but it's
doing
not
the Lord's work.
The Lord's work. No. The Lord's work is Rala.
Fair. Praise be to Rala.
Praise be to Rala. So do you have the screenshots, so I can just... I haven't
I can throw those up.
seen the screenshots.
So these are from the preview site. Let me switch over.
It's interesting as well, too, that in Final Fantasy 1, Crescent Isle, which is, aside from being the home for the Circle of Sages and Sage Luca, it's the place closest to the original Mount Gulg. And knowing what Mount Gulg is in 14 context, it's like... But also Mount Gulg is also a really relevant place in Final Fantasy 9.
Right.
So...
I did not know that. So it's cycling through the images on its own, which is kind of annoying, but...
Oh, it's a squid. That's Maki.
The Mind Flayer, what are you talking about?
I know, but it's a squid.
It's Galvanth the Decimator, or whatever his name is, from
Oh,
the very first dungeon.
That's Final Fantasy V gear,
From
right?
Temterra.
Like,
Yes, it was.
Yes.
That's Bart's gear. That's also Ferris's gear.
And
Paris
Lena's,
and Okay.
which
Yeah.
I want Lena's gear. Lena's gear is really pretty. And Ferris is amazing.
I don't want Ferris's gear until we have a Corsair class.
Fair.
It's Maki next to no, sorry. So this one with the colors here, that's the thing that the enemy's colors was so interesting to me because it's violet, it's red, and it's green, and
Yeah, this one here.
that's a combination usually associated with Zodiac, not Primal Zodiac, but Evolution
Well, this is
Zodiac.
this is
cannot.
also a reference to another game. I think it is 5 actually. That
You
these
cannot
bosses
tell
are.
me that those pyramids are not Maki. You
They're
cannot
Maki,
tell me.
they're
100%.
Maki.
That is 100%
You can't tell
Maki.
me. Square Enix, you can't tell me.
And this is Amdapori right here, right next to it.
Yes, and and what is confusing me is the domes there because I can't really
These?
identify.
You know what? No, Nimian, because by the time that we get to, we'll say, the Wanderer's Palace or whatever, it's broken down.
Right,
So it very well could have had a dome over it,
right.
but
right.
because it's in such terrible condition, we don't know that.
Okay. I mean, it could, but the domes are a bit. I mean, they remind me of Mercidian, the Mercidian Cathedral in Oz's lab, but maybe it's just.
And if
Yeah.
their structures, you know what though, if their structures are in better condition than those on Eorzea, are they still alive? Is their colony still alive? Are they not
That would be
completely
so
wiped
cool,
out?
though.
That would be
And
interesting.
how would they still be alive? Because that's 2 eras later.
Man, that would
Well,
be
their
amazing.
descendants. It could be the descendants living
So-
here, like protected. Imagine.
There's 2 possibilities. One, it's just the structures. There's no one alive. Well, there's 3 possibilities. It's just the structures, no one alive. Just kind of like the airplane graveyard of the Bermuda Triangle, which isn't a thing, but like all the airplanes are there, but they're landed and there are no people. Then there's the possibility that yes, there are people alive here, that they have a collective society, which would be really crazy. And then the third option, which I don't really see being the case, was they have been pulled forward through time. Which
No.
is why, yeah. But that complicates things because then you have different densities of souls, and I don't think they're gonna go down that route.
That would complicate things
It would.
immensely.
Do you know
it
what?
would.
Do you think what's something that now that you mentioned the Bermuda Triangle thing, and the airplane graveyard, because there's theories, of course. This is theories. Don't. I mean, and I'm not
It's a
saying
game
believe it or
theory.
not, but it's a game. It's said that speculated that the people in the Bermuda Triangle disappear, and there's different theories, but some say that they're taken or they're rescued by underwater or hidden civilizations or esoteric civilizations. So maybe because there's going to be different zones. Maybe in the first run of the Occult Crescent we find the surface and it looks abandoned, but later on we find out that they're actually living together in, imagine, like a rift in space or something like that.
That'd be cool. I mean, I don't know if that's the case.
I don't either.
But I
just-
mean, like
just-
it's just wild speculation. I know. I'm just trying to think if there's any kind of correlation to that, because basically the idea is that Atlantis was in the Atlantic Ocean, of course, and when it sank, that's where the Bermuda Triangle is now. So the idea would be that there was once this great civilization, and it's gone now, but there are all these structures left over. But I don't know.
Imagine.
I can't imagine that all of these societies came over here and built all this stuff on their own right next to each other.
Imagine. Imagine if they build this. If they came here together, they built this thing together, and built this thing, and something happened, and they went, say, let's say underwater, but it could be a bubble. Like imagine something like the trench in the Ruby Sea with the lizards, right?
Right.
Something like that. Imagine something like that, but they built.
The
Imagine if
trench
they
in the
if
Ruby
they-
Sea with the lizards. Okay.
I mean, there is a trench in the Ruby Sea,
Yeah.
and it's kind of scary.
The ships with the violet tides. But
Yeah.
then imagine if they actually
Mariana
had
Trench.
something. They went into hiding, and they went underwater or into a rift, and they found a new colony, and they built it over the ruins of Amaroth in the source. Like,
I mean,
Yeah,
based on what we know
Yeah.
where Amaroth
take your
is,
tinfoil cap off.
Yeah, based on where we know Amaroth
I
is on the
just-
first.
I'm suggesting things.
I don't know. Like maybe we should get Pebbled in here to talk about plate tectonics, because due to the calamity of Earth, it's possible that things have shifted that much. But I always was under the impression from Shadowbringers that Amaroth was closer to Velbrand than the New
Yes.
World.
Then again, depends on size, because
Yeah.
what Amaroth may have been closer to Billbrand back then, but since the world was reduced and shrunk, maybe in its original size it could reach back to Rome. So, no idea.
I mean, we do
Uh,
know that after the Sun Ring, the world was very differently shaped. If you look at the planet in
Yeah.
in the Amaroth dungeon, there's a lot more landmass than there is now.
Yes. But then Team Aqua came and okay, ignore that.
I thought you were going the Team Skull route. That would have been funnier.
But I mentioned this basically because the place is called the Shades Triangles, and we've been speculating on the Shades for a long time because of its name, kind of alluding to the Shades of Amaroth. And there's the already link between the Bermuda Triangle and the hypothesis about Atlantis. So,
Right.
I mean, I don't know if it's going to be or not. It's just like and throw my ideas based on that connection. Then afterwards, I don't know. I'm that's why I want to. That's why I want to scour this place.
You know, I'm kind of curious because I see the brachiosaurs just kind of walking in the fields, and it
The Jurassic Park theme plays.
no.
Oh my!
It reminds me a little bit
fucking God,
of
it's
the
a
original
dino.
Diadem launch. And I kind of want to see how they describe that. I want to try to look it up.
We need a Jeep.
A Jeep.
We need a Jeep mount so we can park on a hill, take out our binoculars.
I'm reading also the description below, like in the short introduction text. A wave-washed grave to untold souls. Okay. Untold souls. Right.
I guess a car will do. Or I guess the regalia will do.
Mhm.
Just reenact the entire opening scene to Jurassic Park.
Are we going to find the massive dinosaur dung pile as well?
I hope so.
Just get a couple of people that look like Dr. Sadler.
You know people
Ian
are going to be
Malcolm.
doing that. That's a given.
we find the dung pile, and I will be like, oh look, Charlene propaganda.
I love that.
Thank you.
And then, of course, someone from the forum walks up and says, "Hey, here you go, eat it."
Yeah, because the Warrior of Light does have a long history of people asking them to pick up shit.
Sometimes literally, yeah.
Quite literally, yes. I really like the Faris coat. I'm not going
Yes.
to change myself to it, but I like it.
I really like the Lena outfit. I don't know why it's not usually something I like, but I think it looks good.
Like I said, I don't want to get the Ferris coat until we get that Corsair class.
Man, that should have been the artifact gear for the Corsair class, but this gives me hope because I really want the outfits from 6. So if we're still getting outfits from 5 and other games...
The wild thing is that we already have the Corsair placard in Limsa Lominsa. The training area, it's already there.
Right.
It's in the Marauders Guild. As soon as you enter, look up to your right, the placard is there, and then if you go downstairs, there are already trainers there shooting things, shooting at targets. So the only thing that's missing is the actual quest chain and class for it.
Yeah, because it was originally supposed to be implemented as part of the 1.0 plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
They just didn't bring it over from 1 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
But the assets are there. The assets are still there.
Yeah, and there's machinist as of now as the thing.
It was kind of spawned from that idea, but I still like the Corsair idea better.
I do like the Corsair idea.
Do we know how many jobs, phantom jobs, there are going to be in Occult Crescent? Did they confirm them,
that's
or
a good
they
question.
were?
I know they listed a bunch of them, but I don't know if that list was exhaustive.
Okay. Because I assume many of them will come from 5, because they're referencing
12 support jobs.
12. Okay.
12 support jobs.
Okay.
Now,
12.
I will say, from a mechanical point of view, this is not going to be like Bozja or what's the other one? It's not going to be like Bozja where you can go there to level up. You're not going to get any experience for your regular combat classes. It's only going to be for the classes inside of the... Yeah, exactly.
Some of the jobs include Knight, Bard, Monk, Geomancer, Ranger, Berserker, Time Mage, Chemist, and Gunner.
Chemist.
Yes.
Yep. So all the jobs that we're getting here, we're not going to be getting in the actual game.
There, you know what?
And I'm really happy about that because now we can finally put Geomancer to rest.
You know what? I think he's using it as a testing ground.
You do?
I do think too. Yeah.
I think he's using this as a test. I think he said these kinds of things before, and I take him at face value because later on he can always add it and be like, okay, yeah, we thought this had a great test run. Let's go ahead and go full force with it.
You know what I think they may do? They may not name the job as Geomancer or something, but they may make a new job based on that class. Perhaps they don't use the same name, but they could take what mechanics and how the workings are handled here, and then transpose to a new job that is going to on spirit is the same but has a different name, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because right now, for example, Geomancer is mentioned in the Astrologian questline, and when you see Kyokuho, the Geomancer, in battle, he pretty much acts like a conjurer. So it's like if you want to do something more related to that, then you need a different name. But even if it in essence is the same, more or less. And I think this is where they will be testing new jobs to see how they adapt in game and how they translate. I would love to have one for the Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced jobs.
Yeah, no, that's way too many.
I know, but imagine something like Illusionist or Morpher. I would love Morpher.
No, that'd be broke as hell. No.
I know.
Even I would say no to that. Nope.
Whole lot of nope. Let's see.
But it does seem like, aside from the lore, that it's going to be so meaty in this place. They're going to be releasing it like 3 parts or 2 parts. Bosia was 2, right? 2 areas? Or am I...
Bosnia was three.
Bosnia was 3, yeah.
Bosia was 3, really?
Yes, because we had... No, yes. We had the Southern Front.
The Southern Front,
We had the
With-
Instance.
And Zadnor.
the Instance,
And Zadnor.
and then the Riada.
Then we had the
But
Del Riata
Instance-
Instance.
But the Lubrum Regine is not really an area. I mean,
Yeah, no, it's 2. It's 2. We
Yeah.
just had
It felt like
first. It did feel like 3. Because we had
because
3
the
areas in
Lubrum is
each.
long. To be honest, it's a long raid.
It is, but it's fun. I really enjoyed it.
I mean, yeah,
Yes.
it's like watching a bunch of chickens running headless, but it's fun.
I mean,
Okay.
if you do a deliberate oregano run, with a group that is doing like savage or extreme,
Deliberate oregano.
yeah, it's very coordinated and it's actually very organized and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. But I mean,
Liberator
yeah,
Rider.
I remember running the Lubrum and having no idea what was happening, but it was fun. But maybe they do the same thing here. They release the first area, then they release a long raid instance, and then the final area. Maybe.
I think
don't
they
know,
said
maybe
that they're going to do something similar to that. I don't remember exactly what they said they were going to do, but there is going to be a
Right.
large scale raid.
Right. Okay. Well, at the very least, the content seems fun because
Oh,
it
yeah.
gives content. It's not just that it's about exploring lore and exploring the place and being like, oh, I'm going to check this and fight this and all that, but it's also that you have 12 jobs mentioned that you have to level up,
Right.
and that's time and that's content. So it's like it gives you something to do because I don't gather, I don't craft, and
Oh, so cosmic
the thing with the
exploration must
fact-
have been a big nothing burger for you.
yeah, I know.
There's good news. I do
No,
gather
it
and I
was-
craft extensively, and it was still a big nothing burger for me.
I don't know. Maybe in due time, it comes with lore stuff, which honestly judging from where it comes, everything they tell me, I'm going to use as guideline as what are they trying to deceive me with, but but it's a different way of awaiting information. You know, if you know that someone is lying to you, you're going to be paying attention to spot where they are lying to you, of course.
Right.
But yeah, anyways, and as I don't know how long we have, but didn't you want to talk about the collaboration with the cards?
Oh my god, Magic the Gathering. I
I'm
Full
asking
disclosure.
because I don't know how long we have.
yeah, full disclosure, literally have not played Magic in 30 years, which gives you an idea of how old I am. And so
I haven't
they,
played
they,
it at all.
Huh? Yeah, there you go.
I
But I heard about this set and I was like, oh man. And my wife has literally been trying to get me back into Magic since we met. And so like I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna get this set. So I signed up for one of the pre-release events, and like a box shows up at the house, and it's like all these card holders and sleeves and stuff. Like my wife is like dancing. She's happy. She's so excited, and I am too. I really like the artwork of a lot of the cards. I like seeing Final Fantasy kind of presented in this new way. I know there's been a lot of grievance about the price because a lot of people have been like scalping these. but from what I understand, usually they print to demand. So if you don't get them right now, don't pay extra for them. Just wait a couple of weeks and more will drop.
Right.
Meanwhile, my wife is over here like, but I want it now. So I'm going to be going on the 6th. Our local shop is having a pre-release event where you can buy them all, and they're holding a few sets for me. So I will let everybody know how it is and
Right.
if I get anything good. I did see Meowth. You'll be very happy. There are several people intent on building Hope sets. Because apparently he's
my
a very
son
good
started-
card.
My son starts getting the recognition he deserves,
Yeah,
even if it's
meanwhile-
by cards, because it's broken.
Meanwhile, there is literally no mention of Snow, Vanille. I have seen Fang. Saz's Chocobo is there, but I've seen no Saz. It's all about Hope and Lightning.
And naturally, but Vanille and Fang, as far as I saw, they're like so Fang is there, Vanille is they're supposed to be melt together to if you have the Ragnarok card. So
Oh, so you have been
they're
looking.
I have been looking on 13 because in the 13 server they're sharing the 13 cards. And all that. So yeah, and I've been looking at those shared for 14, which are a few, and there was a bit of controversy in a sense. It was it got a bit ugly regarding the card with Asm's Crystal. I understand because they actually chose a quote for it that didn't have anything to do with the scene, neither with Asm's Crystal. Really, they basically the thing is that it raised opinions because the quote that technically most represents, because it's depicting a seat of sacrifice, yes, and Asm's Crystal, it should have been more related to something like the how do you call it, and the elegy or eulogy, whatever that Hades put in there, right? But instead they use the moment in which Heidelin says that she presides over the forces of matter and stasis and was going to put her magics into that, which is only used once, and it's like, why? It was like, why would you use that for Asm's Crystal? And I understand it entirely. It's a card that right now it's a bit like I'm side-eyeing it because there's themes in game related to usurping, basically. Let's go into and it's a very, very notable trend in Endwalker, and having that crystal, which symbolizes what it symbolizes, being pretty much hijacked by Heidelin. I'm not sure. It's one of these instances in which I'm side-eyeing, being like, Square Enix knows more than anyone the significance of that crystal, and you're using that for a scene in which that's actually not about the real purpose of the crystal, considering how emblematic the scene at 5.3 is. And I've seen people arguing that it's about because the original card has this effect and it matches, and you could have used anything else, not Asm's Crystal, for that.
Right.
So it's like I'm side-eyeing that because I wonder if they're trying to imply something. But again, this could be me. As is my wont to see a lot in things. However, the fact that many people have been raising their voices about this quote should not really be here, and if you wanted to use this effect with another thing, there are many other Final Fantasy elements you could have chosen instead of taking this thing that means this and that. It means that there's something perhaps deliberately meant to trigger that reaction, because people actually spoke about that. and it created a whole drama because there were people complaining that there was a lot of complaints about how many cards things related to Hades have gotten, and well, the usual social media drama. And
Yeah, and I haven't seen more than one devoted to La Habrea. Very disappointing.
I would like to see one of La Habrea. I mean, I know there's one about the one black masked Asian, but which I was grateful for because it gave me a good shot of the brand they sport, and I was like, I wanted that, I needed that too, because it's we only see it like once or twice in very very early Aaron Reborn.
And in the Summoner questline, we see it a lot.
Do we see that in the summer?
We do.
Replay that
because
relatively
that's,
recently, and
that's
I actually
mostly to do with
with La Habera's agents, basically, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
The
want to call them
chalice.
minions because
Yeah.
the sword, the chalice, pentacles, and staves. Yeah, they're the minor kind of tarot. One day, if you let me talk about how tarot intertwines in this whole thing, it's going to be a long lecture, though.
I mean, we could do an episode on it.
It's a bit abstract, though. That's why I suggested it once, but I remember that, I don't know, was it you who told me that maybe it's a bit too abstract? And I understand it can be complicated.
It was probably me, but if we dive into it, why not just go crazy?
If you let me do an episode on those references, be sure that I will make a file proper to summarizing the whole things, because if you get it like without context, can be a bit overwhelming.
Right.
And of course, I'm not saying that you have to believe in tarot and esoterics and stuff. That's personal things, whether you believe or not. But Final Fantasy being a game about fantasy, they draw a lot in really, really deep esoteric themes. So you have to study them. And then you end up like me, in madcap.
All the time.
Listen, I know what I am. At this point, it would be
As long as
I
you
would
know.
have to.
It's good to admit it.
That's kind of all I wanted to cover today. But I'm excited for 7.25 for this Tuesday. I'll probably finish up Expedition 33 today and tomorrow, and hop on as soon as maintenance is done.
All right.
All right.
I'm really excited to have something new to burn time until 7.3.
You're not
Which
wrong.
is going to be
and I know
interesting.
Square kind of is aware that there's a bit of a drought right now, that Cosmic Exploration was not the hit it was thought to be, because they're dropping Make It Rain, and whenever they drop Make It Rain, it's because they're trying to, to pad things over.
Right. But I mean, I think, speaking of, I don't know how long we have. Maybe
Not
we're
long.
near the end now.
Yeah.
Okay, but basically, the way that Yoshi P teased the other day thinks about 7.3, to me it was more like one of these statements he drops when there's a lot going on, and he's like, I can't fucking tell. I can't say anything because I'm going to give away something, because he was so evasive. And I'm betting that when he does this, I'm betting that the trailer for it will really omit many things. It will be something... But it's a 0.3, so this is where technically the story of the expansion proper finishes, and then
so we'll deal with preservation.
Goes into
If they were still on their other schedule, but now it's their new schedule, so It's going to be
They're
more
using-
like
They're
I think-
using they're using the trial system from the interlude schedule, but you can't. But because Endwalker is a different thing, you can't have an expansion go into the next expansion without a transition period. Like we had one arc for
Didn't they
Reborn.
admit, I believe they admitted during one of their live letters that they had to transition to this new thing because of their work schedule.
But one thing is the trial system, for example, which I understand. They integrated the trial thing into the MSQ. They did it with the Void Interlude, and they did it here. And I don't think it's a bad thing. Sometimes I'm kind of wondering how do you put a trial for each patch when some of them are not even that story heavy. But that's not for me to answer. That's for them. But we're talking that Endwalker was like the threshold between the previous arc and like Act 1 and Act 2 of Final Fantasy XIV. But there's the interlude, so for an expansion you need like a transition period. You need I don't know how they're going to do it this way, but the point 3 tends to be the hit, the shock. And if you imagine if you expand the I could be wrong, but if you expand the expansion into 0.5, then what do you have left to introduce the next expansion? 0.55? That's not enough to lay down the grounds for an expansion, for a whole expansion. For an arc, yes, because we came from 6.0 and 6.5, sorry, 6.55 from a special interlude, which broke the trend. But here is a different whole arc on itself. So I don't know. I'm not part of their team, but I'm thinking from a developer narrative brain, and it makes more sense that we wrap up many things that are going on right now, and then we go into a transition.
Yeah,
It
because
feels
they
more
also
natural.
they also need to establish the groundwork for the next expansion. And it's been a
Yes.
successful, I guess, format for the past 3 or 4 expansions, so I don't
Yeah.
see them changing that.
That's
It
the thing, though.
works.
I don't think that it's because they mentioned it in one of the live letters before that they were going to switch to this, and I don't think it was just because of the trial. I think it was because of their work period where they switched from 3.5 months to a full 4 months.
I mean, it's possible.
That
I mean, I don't know, but using the Void Interlude is a bit like we have to understand the Void Interlude is a transition period on itself because Endwalker technically finished in point zero.
and
It's a break.
I'm not discounting that.
No, I know. It's just that to me it's a bit weird to be like, oh, we're extending the whole expansion to 0.5, and in 55 you drop the groundwork for the expansion. It's a bit too rushed, if you ask me.
and here will be this next patch will kind of determine whether or not they fully transitioned into
Yeah.
it. And I will agree that the previous format where they did 0.3 to 0.55 lead up to the expansion was better. 0.3 cleared it out, and then 0.4 and 0.55 lead up is better. But yeah, this whole 1, 2, 3, 4, telling the story of the expansion, that kind of drags it out a long time. And with the way that Dawn Trail was told, I have a feeling that they're going to keep doing that because they may not have added all of what they wanted to.
I'm not sure, because the narrative threads are another thing to.
Here's why. They said that they wanted to kind of lay down the threads for the next, what is it, the next 10 years or whatever.
Ah,
So if they're going back to that format, hopefully, if they go back to the regular format, like the one they did in A Realm Reborn, then they can go like before the fall was, and Soul Surrender, stuff like that.
Right.
And if not, then we're going back to the Void Interlude, where it's 4 patches of storytelling to lay down threads that go nowhere. I'm sorry, Endwalker.
No,
Yet.
I mean,
Go nowhere yet.
nowhere yet. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But
They can always pick it up.
but-
I don't
Initially,
want
they
them
wait
to,
2
but-
expansions before they pick threads up like that.
That's four patches of throwing down threads, and then later picking them up. I would rather have 3 patches of storytelling, 2 patches of laying down threads, because it works in a
I
strategic
do
manner.
agree with that. What I don't know is how they're going to integrate the trials for each patch, because some of them are not bound to be not so
1, 3, 5.
MS so
2 and 4 would be the raids.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, it's not a question for me to answer. They sure have to find a way to do that. Not me. But I'm just saying from a purely narrative perspective that you have to lay the grounds for the next content and storyline properly, and it worked previously. So maybe my take was possibly that they would do a mix between the trial style of the Void Interlude and the MSQ progress in the previous arc. But we will have to see how it. I mean, point 3 is going to be the determinant element in here, because it did raise the stakes so high in point 2. Like the ending of it, how things went. It reminded me so much of this sort of pre-height of the conflict in the previous arc, like point 2 with Lidbus, point 2 with Asahi and Yotsuyu, point 2 with the near assassination of Bidofnir. It gave me that same vibe, if it makes sense. The stakes are high right now. It's going to end up leading to the burst of the conflict. We're going to deal with that, and this is where I believe there's going to happen. I'm going to call it the flip, and the first bomb. But I don't want to go much into this with so little time to elaborate.
Yeah, we're at time, so.
Yeah.
But we will talk again next week. Give first impressions
After
for
we
Occult
have-
Crescent.
yeah.
I'm sure we'll have more to talk about in the weeks after.
Yes.
So, thank you everybody again for joining us. Had a lot of fun, and look forward to
Yes.
talking more about next week and talking a little bit more about Occult Crescent and what we find in the strange Shades Triangle.
I hope to release my fucking long due project next week. Not sure, because I have to.
We're gonna
adjust
find
my
Nimian Amelia Earhart.
things.
Yep. All right, everybody. Thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you.